just unequated with this brother, knows what he's about. So I get great proud, it's an honor to bring to you Dr. Delbert Blair.
Let me say hi and bear with me 1 second, Mr. Yeah. I want to get some of these papers together. It's been a very interesting day. I think it's pretty mildly, very interesting day, which somewhat I don't expect, but I always say, well, it might happen that way, and this is one of those days where it has happened. I want to start, so much I want to share with you tonight, and given the privilege to do so by Robert Urey, who I find to be not only a gentleman, a scholar, a person, very esteemed in my own mind. And I want to thank him very much personally for doing what he has done and bringing me here, and also got a diode on it? Well, I'm going to look at it. Yeah, I don't use electronic or electrical gadgets without a diode. Fortunately, I've loaded up on my own body, so hopefully that's going to take care of all of that. But as I was saying, I want to thank very much Bob for extending me a wonderful stay so far. Hopefully the rest of the week will be accordingly so. And I want to thank also Terrence, who spent a lot of time with you today. He had to run back and forth, and that traffic out there on the highways, as you know, is something else. And then we had some extracurricular things in the hotel room, on the airplane. It got to be very interesting. And I want to also thank Derek for a wonderful evening last night, and all of you. I saw many people in the back that I hadn't seen in some time. Not that you're that old, but I am. And because of that, I want to say thank you. Some of you have journeyed from afar. I've held sessions and classes in New York, Pennsylvania, Newark, Chicago, Los Angeles, Texas, down in Austin, Canada. I've been at it for some time. So I just want to say thank you because you didn't have to do it, but I'm very happy that you are here. With that in mind, let me also say that we're going to cover a lot of territory. It's impossible to cover all the territory I want, but it's not impossible to say I'm going to at least hint at it and begin to not react, but act and react to where you may want to go with this. I will be doing something again tomorrow. I'm not going to say any more. I'll let Bob talk about that if he would, where it'll be strictly devoted to UFO ufology, flying saucers and little green men and little red giants and the whole bit, including a now 49-foot skeleton that they've unearthed in Nevada. You're probably not hearing about it. 49-foot skeleton. So a lot of things we've heard about our planet is just beginning to understand. We didn't even begin to hear anything yet about this strange planet we're on. But tonight, I want to stay at what some call the more practical. I don't necessarily so, but I want to cover some things and then offer some solutions to some problems. And let me say at the onset here that there is no truth until you decide what truth is. Repeat that. There is no truth until you decide what truth is. And in this dimension, there is no truth until not only you decide what truth is, but your truth may not be my truth. And my truth may not be your truth. But that should not inhibit our search for the truth, nor diminish what is truth. For by holding on to these truths until greater wisdom manifests or supplants our present understanding of what is truth, may we ascend from involution by cycles into evolution by spirals toward ultimate truth, if consummate truth does ever exist. So we're not going to debate what is true and false, a matter of consciousness, but I'll say that this dimension, therefore, is no truth until you decide what truth is, because it's your mind that separates you from the Creator, or that you get closer to creative consciousness, which is everything we can imagine. To the degree that you agree or disagree with that, we're off and running. Hold on to your hats. I want to start off by saying that many people feel that things are just speeding by. I think time is speeding up on this planet. Many of you now say, wow, just wake up and it's over again. Remember again when you were believing in Santa Claus? Some people still do. And when you're looking forward to wonderful birthdays and presents, some people who don't, of course, have to give them, they receive them. And when all these things were happening, time couldn't go by fast enough for that birthday or for Christmas to come. But if you're going to prison, if you're going to the gallows, if you're going to travel and do something you don't like, the time, of course, again, gets to be a whole different meaning. Most time is identified by how we think. And you can speed it up or slow it down almost at will if you can understand three things. You're not the body, you're not physical, you're pure mind energy. Encased in the body for a short period of time to understand what you can do with it, and whatever you carry from this experience or brought into this experience will pretty much bring to light what's going to happen while you're here in transition. The things that are going to go on here, not tonight, but in general on this planet, are not going to be too nice. You already can see that, I hope. But there are many times that within the maelstrom there is pleasure that can be still gained, especially with love, with kindness, with proper eating, with proper understanding. You pretty much create your own reality daily by daily, and many people don't understand that. We have some creatures, people, consciousnesses who don't like happiness, that want to see things miserable, want to see things bad. So those who want things well, believe in a universal creator, believe that there is goodness and love, should express that at all times. And don't let anything else stop you from doing that, and especially in your own heart. Those who don't, they'll soon be taken care of anyway, because they're now writing themselves out of the pages of the booklet on this planet. You're going to see many deaths, some good, some bad, if death is ever good or bad. Prepare for that. But understand that what happens to others does not necessarily have to happen to you based on your consciousness, your understanding, your education, and more than that, your wisdom to do what you think and know you should do. Not talk about it, you got to do it. Now you got to walk the talk, not talk the walk. We have, in most major cities, and there are 252 major ones here in the United States, towers that are going up. They're everywhere. But they're all sizes. You've got the big ground wave antenna, 350 feet tall. It's called ground wave energy networks. And the government calls them something else. They're government highways, but supposedly it's things to help you get better and do things with it that you want to do. You've also got the little towers that relay for your cell phones. For those of you who recently have bought a car or have a company car or whatever again and have a GPS on there, you got a global positioning satellite built right into your vehicle. Okay? Now let me just say this now. In the tires that you have on that car, if it's over, 2 years or less, you have a chip on all those towers. On all those tires. If you have GPS, you have direct satellite communication that can follow you anywhere you are. Tell you where you are better than yourself. That's why you ask it to tell me, where am I and where am I going? Most of you have one of these in your pockets. If you do not have one of these little bumps on that thing, or something equal to that bump, I have two if you notice, you're really communicating with the other side of cancer, potentially. Because these devices, which are very convenient, expeditious if you're in business, or if you have a family or anything else, domestic or industrial, these are needed. But you also need something on them to control the demon, because it's a demon here. The demon can serve you, the demon can hurt you. It's up to your wisdom what you're going to do with it. You cannot turn these devices off. Oh, I turned mine off, put mine in my pocket. No, you didn't. It turned you on. The only way you turn off these devices is to take the battery out of them, Until you do that, they're always broadcasting. I repeat, always broadcasting. Always radiating it. By your sex organ, it's radiating that. And then they have it in the pocket. It's in your purse, you're holding it, it's radiating that. If you use a device like this in a closed covering with metal, which is a car, truck, anything else, bus, whatever, it's now radiating the metal around you. And over a length of time, that metal will become fatigued and radioactive. You say one can't do it? It's not one. Because I'll bet you, I'd be willing to pick that bet here, that more than half of you in here tonight either own one or have one on your body. It's another way of life. Well, if you have one on it, learn to get a diode and put it on there too. What I do is put enough diodes on where I lose the signal, then I take them off, then I know now I'm controlling those waves. Two from now. One didn't do it. What this device does is to broadcast a frequency that is responsive to another frequency on whatever these devices you have. They're called microwaves. And you have on this planet electromagnetic fields. You have electrical broadcasting units. Our whole planet is made up of wavelengths. You're constantly living in a sea of wavelengths. If you could see them, you'd go crazy because you'd be trying to dodge like a bunch of laser beams. You walk through a sea of radiation. So you cannot avoid radiation and live on a planet, at least a planet like this one. I haven't lived on the other one remembering yet. So consequently, I will only say is, you have frequencies that you're walking through. Those that correspond with your body or your body can set up a defense for, or they're so fast, you don't even know you walk through them. You can live with that. But the ones that slow down, the extra low frequencies, the little elf, that's how I want you to remember this, extra low frequencies are the ones that can tear you apart literally and figuratively because they're slow propagations, what they call, used to be, when I was in school, they used to call them again cycles per second. Now they call them hertz. Same way of disguising the same subject. 5 to 15 hertz and lower is synchronized with your brain waves, sometimes your heart resonance, your blood pressure, the whole bit. That's why they can raise your blood pressure for you. But the doctor didn't tell you that when he's taking your blood pressure, did he? By the way, if you take blood pressure, you better take it 3 times a day. Don't take anybody's advice on just waking up in the morning and taking it, in the afternoon and take it at night. You got to take it 3 times a day, and you need to do it for 2 days in order to get a good blood pressure raising, because your food can raise your blood pressure. Your thoughts can always affect your pressure. That's what yoga show and martial artists show. You begin to control that. And anytime you have these gadgets around, they're always going to work with your blood pressure. They didn't tell you that either, did they? When you use this device, it takes the signal and it bounces it off something else synchronized, another one like this, to get that. But it works through what they call towers. Everything now is Wi-Fi. And he said, no, it's not a wife that I had or wife that you have, it's Wi-Fi. Okay? But you can remember it that way if that helps. That means wireless direct. That means no cable. They got cables here now. Over there, the wire cable. By the way, those cables also emit energy too. You step over that now, you're stepping on the energy field. When you get wireless direct, you don't have to have a direct cable link. You have an energy that's speeding towards you and from you. Whichever way now, when you're using that, you're getting radiated. Again, 5 to 15 hertz synchronizes as low frequency microwave oven. Microwave emission. Microwave ovens is another one that uses that. You notice the principle there. When you get hungry and you want to eat and you put something in a microwave oven, there's a klystron tube within that microwave oven. What it does now, if you notice, the plate in there is cold, but the food is warm. The food is warm because it has moisture in it. When you're drinking it hot or eating it hot, you're eating pure radiation because now that is what makes it hot. That's why the plate is cold and the food isn't. I always say give it to your best enemy or your worst friend. But I would use it myself. When you're eating that food, that is a propagation, that's a possibility. Also, usually, they're in kitchens. And in that kitchen, you usually will have a refrigerator. And there's always a bleed out of ions from that klystron tube, no matter what you do. They would say it's not, they know it isn't. And over a length of time, it will speed back to that coils behind your refrigerator. Then that coils, it's freon gas. Then that freon gas goes to your ice chest. After a year's time, your whole refrigerator is radioactive. And of course, the freon gas is in there. What can you say about it? For Don't worry, that's just the beginning of the story. In your house, many of you have bedrooms. Some of you actually sleep. Well, next thing you're going to tell me you breathe, huh? Do some of you actually breathe and sleep? You do? Oh, you're going to be interested in what you're going to hear tonight. Very interesting. When we say breath, we're going to talk about biochemtrails. Remember to go back to that. Okay? Let's stay right now with dials. Those of you who are actually sleeping. Municipal law states that in your bedroom you need to have an outlet on each wall, so you can plug in whatever you want. If you notice most of the time, to try to train your bed, if you have even an average-sized bed, see if you can face it north and south. You won't be able to unless you move around everything in there. That's not by accident. Now, all of these walls that you have there have outlets on them. They're always active because that's why when you plug something into it, unless your circuit breaker box or you got an old junction box, whichever again, you want it to go on. So it's always giving off energy. That energy comes out about that far in most of them. Some of them now, they come out that far. If you have in bed metal or coiled springs and so near that, it's constantly receiving radiation. After a year, your coiled spring in your bed now are radioactive. Electric circuits, it's now bleeding into that. Those ions travel. You don't have to say ions follow streams. It streams right into what you're doing there. No matter what you're ever doing in your bed, you're probably getting that. Right by it. Well, you heard that. You're wise. Believe me, you're wise. Sometimes, though, the biosphere is such that that's your best time anyway. There's a lot of radiation poisoning. However, usually there a wireless set. Some of you have it. You've now brought a tower from outside inside because it's Wi-Fi. You set your cell phone or your other towerless receiver, and it gets charged up. That's the same thing that the antennas are doing. You just brought one inside your house now, outside of the one that's out there. When you are, well, let's just put it like this. I want to go on this because I want to go on to some other things. There's so much I want to share with you. When you're inside your car, truck, cab, over the hall, rig, whatever you're in a metal casing. Now, you get inside these vehicles, not to sit in their garage or on the street, to move them. So as soon as you turn on your motor, you got radiation being emitted by the armature on the motor. You have an alternator in there, most of them do. You're also getting radiation emitted from the alternator. You got a firewall by all these LED leads and direct leads are, so now that's getting radioactive. Then you make a big, big, big decision. You say, I'm going to go somewhere in this thing. I'm going to drive. You did. You just drove yourself. You just begin to now do something that's going to be very different. You're going to drive that vehicle. So now your tires begin to rotate. When your tires turn, there's no ground. You broke the ground when your tires are turning. Now the only ground in there is you. Or your pet or livestock or whatever you happen to put in there. Livestock, I hope not. But whatever is in that vehicle now is now subject to radioactivity and getting it constantly. If you have on FM or AM, notice the difference. When you pass into one of the towers, you say, boy, it's annoying. It sure was. You just got radiated. You heard the sound, but not the wave. The wave found you. And every time you hear that sound, that whole area now is under electronic impact. With the new safety laws, airbags, you got solid state welding now, so you can hold the airbag and take an impact. So much poundage per square foot. So now, that weld makes you in what they call a Faraday cage. Simply means you got something over the top, bottom, it's all metal, and you're grounded into it again. And consequently now, you're in a live radioactive cage to a degree. Think about this. The solid welds with the seat bags and so on again like this, or airbags and straps, restraining things, are metal. So the seat you're sitting on is welded to the metal of that vehicle, which means that your sex organ is getting radiated every time you drive. If you don't think anything about your brain, you might think something about your sex organ. I find people listen to that. When I say brain, well, you ain't got no brain. Well, no, your sex organ. Men especially don't like that. Women don't exactly like it either. Cervical, uterine, potential cancers, uterine prostate, swelling, cancers. all potentially there, simply because you're sitting constantly on something radiating your body. Soft tissue radiates faster than hard tissue. Water is a better carrier of all currents when it's dry. When you're going to use these devices, we have solutions. And that's why I got into the fields of diodes. I've been in diodes now for 15 years. I was in magnetics for 29 years. I can talk about both. The diodes are my finding of a solution that I have used and therefore offered to you to use. Hopefully you will find it of service. And we have 15 different kinds of diodes. We have diodes that you saw in here, the cell phone diode. We have diodes that will fit into your pocket. SIM pocket diode. We have diodes that go on the back of all those devices where the cord is that plugs into the wall. They're called appliance and equipment diodes. This is a diode you should be sitting on in your car or in your vehicle to stop that radiation from getting into your sex organ. You sit on it. You can watch the TV with me. So I'm not going to get into all that. We will also have circuit breaker boxes, diodes now. It worked for the company. It's not my company. It worked for the company for a long time to get one. They finally have made one. You can put it on the inside cover of your circuit breaker box and change the emitting of the frequencies, and yet all of your electrical things will still work, as well as your electronic things. When you use these diodes, it's not going to stop you from using your modem, your printer, your scanner, your monitor, any other things. It's not going to stop you from watching TV. It just makes it a frequency that your body can adjust to your own electrical field, and they're stabilized. And you've got these little plasma things now. That thing goes out, I understand, 15 to 17 feet. The rain around and stuff. So when you want to get into heavy electronic type waves, understand that you need to carry with you, like a carrier wave carries those frequencies, you need to carry with you something that can help you to use these things safely or at least with intelligence. I want to talk also, again, a little bit about